I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the May 23rd meeting. We have had a chance to go over these. Are there any changes or corrections? None being heard, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Next item is fiscal business. Fiscal officer's report, Mrs. Oden.
I just want to give the board a heads up that at our next meeting, the June 27th meeting, Mr. Cameron and I will be making a presentation on the information that we've learned about through PayCor and some of the options, especially with Obamacare and the reporting that goes along with that. But we won't be talking about that until the 27th, but I want to give you a heads up about that.
Okay. Is that all?
That's it? That's
Okay.
it.
Next item is current bills. We have had a chance to review the bills and like a motion to approve the bills.
I had a question on,
Yes, I'm sorry.
that's all right. On, I think it was on page 36, there were some purchases, I'm assuming for Safety Town, sunglasses and magnets and things.
Those are supplies we use all year long for National Night Out, Safety Town, for the kids do a field day. We've exhausted all that. We've even given some to the trustees in the past to give out for events. So we were absent a lot of that, and he was just reordering. And yes, some of the sunglasses and stuff will all be like National Night Out. That's not Safety Town.
Okay. Are there going to be any other expenditures other than the manpower and things like that on Safety Town, National Night Out?
Yeah, I think we've come close to exhausting the donations. Everything's been bought now. So there may be a few things there today, but I don't think there's anything else funded.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Next item is the 2017 tax budget, and to be clear, we're just looking at, we've had a chance to review it, and this is just an approval to submit it to the county.
Correct. County will have a meeting to approve, and this allows us to put our levies on the ballot.
Okay. Anything to add, Mr. Cameron?
No, sir.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the tax budget as planned for approval to submit?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Next item on the agenda would require us to recess the public meeting and go into a public hearing.
Yeah, this time, sir, if we could delay, since the applicant is not present, or if you want to proceed without him, or if you want to do a tabling of that public hearing, those are the three options, whichever is your preference.
The applicant's been notified of the time of the meeting, and
That is
we
correct.
verified that he received that information, correct?
Correct.
I guess I'm okay with moving it towards the end of the agenda, being that we don't have a lot of cumbersome pieces between here and there, in case he's late, and we can discuss at that point whether we want to table it or not.
Okay.
So we'll move that, we'll stay in public meeting and move it to after a road department. Does that sound good?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Moving on to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business, Mr. Cameron?
No, sir.
New business administration. Draft resolution 4835, a resolution authorizing the township administrator to enter into amendment number 1 of the master service agreement with Dynegy Energy Services East LLC. Would you like to expand on that?
This is the final piece that you will have to do as trustees from an approval standpoint. The aggregation was approved on the ballot, and we did a master service agreement with Dynegy to get through the certification process. So we did that. We got certified by the PUCO. And Energy Alliances, Bill Graff is here with Energy Alliances. They gathered some pricing, and Dynegy ended up being lowest, which they've seen pretty regularly. We had a 1-year rate, a 2-year rate, a term, 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year term. I think it started at 5.09 cents per kilowatt hour, 5.23, and then 5.39 for a 3-year term. Talking to them, based on the market, that's, the 3-year term is the preferred option, and from what I've seen, that's a pretty good rate, and if you can get it for 3 years, that's a good thing.
39, was that lower than what you had experienced down in Evendale?
We are at 5.85, and it's lower than a couple of the more recent ones that have aggregated, so we hit the market at a good time.
That's true.
Okay.
When I researched it, it was very, very good.
So it's a pretty good rate, and to lock it in for 3 years is good. So,
I just have one question. Who owns Dynergy?
Dynegy, this was the previous Duke Retail, they sold their retail piece and Dynegy owns it.
So, I mean, is it a person, is it a corporation, is it a,
Bill, you wanna come up and answer that?
just, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go
go
right
ahead,
ahead.
please.
I mean, just for transparency reasons, you know. who owns
If
it?
you would state your name.
Bill Graff from Energy Alliances. Dynegy, we're not really familiar with Dynegy that well. They're quite a large corporation, very big in Illinois and some other areas of the country. But they actually were the ones that bought the Duke power plants that were sold, and Duke Retail went along with it.
I guess what my point is, this is a major corporation.
It's a
This
major
isn't individual
corporation.
or
They
a
have
group of individuals.
huge amounts of
Okay.
business in other places. They own other power plants and so forth as well, yes.
Okay.
And
Thank
a
you.
sorry. I would add a couple items to the discussion for the sake of the record and those that watch the meeting and listen to this. You can get out of the program, so what'll happen is you will get put into the program, and if you don't want to be in it, you have to opt out. You can get out at any time at no cost, there's no termination fee. If you move in mid-term, you can get in at any time. So people can get into the program. There's not gonna be that enrollment period that locks you out until you're in the enrollment period. So that's good, because there used to be, you had to hit the annual enrollment time. So there's no real burden on a resident to be in the program or get out or get in. We have DP&L and Duke in our township, both of those territories. So this price is good for everybody in the township. It's not different for DP&L and Duke, because one is higher than the other right now if you just have the regulated service. So everybody's gonna have the same rate. I think a lot of the folks who were with the Duke retail arm or company then are still there, so it's not a bad thing to know the people that you're dealing with, and they've done a good job in my experience.
To be clear though, you made a statement that everyone will be enrolled. If they're currently in a contract, they will not be removed from that contract and put into this, is that correct?
Well, you have to be eligible, meaning you're not in contract with
Right.
someone else, and you're not in arrears with your utility on your billing. You have to be eligible. So if you're eligible, you're automatically enrolled unless you opt out. Everybody gets a mailer. I think they get 2 mailers. There's one that says, here's your chance to opt out, and another says you've been enrolled in this
Right.
program.
It's a letter saying you're in the program,
Okay.
so they can, if they miss the first one, they can act.
Yeah, the only pushback at least I received was, I'm already in I don't want to be affected, and that's my understanding as we went through this process was if they were in a contract and they didn't want affected, they can get out of that and join this if they choose to, correct?
There will be, once the opt-out process begins, which is June 14th, I think letters go out roughly. People who are with another program as such with Dynegy, because a lot of people sign up with Dynegy on their own, those people can move to the aggregation if it's a better price. And there will be an 800 number for customer service. Then there's another woman that has a dedicated number downtown Cincinnati that can move that person if they choose. No termination fees from one of their programs to another if they can save additional money, or if you or someone else expires from another program, there's a way to get in as
Okay.
well, and no termination fees anytime, and that's makes it much more convenient.
Let's just make sure we've got that in bullet point form for the website. So if people have questions, they're easily answered. I don't have any other questions about it, do you, Steve? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like a motion to approve 4835.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Is it for business administration, sir?
Yes.
Police District, Chief Terrell, we got 4836, a resolution amending and revising the Clearcreek Township Department Police Policy and Procedures for agency property.
There are three resolutions before the board tonight. This is in reference to our CLIA accreditation process. It's coming up here within a couple months, and we have to do some tweaking. Specifically, 4836 deals with data storage and some language on how we do that. A lot of departments are having to get outside data storage, and they want to make sure your contract says you still own that data if you have to farm that out and so forth. 4837 is, got some changes in it, reference long-term military leave, non-employee, and some criteria about exit interviews and things that are required now. And 4838 is some language added in about our license plate reader cameras, the LPRs. Basically, this is just tweaking our current policies to accommodate things that have changed, getting ready for the CLIA accreditation process.
Okay. Well, I'll ask if anyone has any questions about those three resolutions together, and then we'll approve them individually.
I'm told that's what it's supposed to be done.
That's what they said. We have any questions about the 4836, 37, or 38? If none, I'd like a motion to approve 4836.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. I'd like a motion to approve 4837.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. And a motion to approve 4838.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Resolution 4839 is a resolution accepting a donation from the Lebanon Correctional Institution for the Clearcreek Township Fire Department. Chief? Police Department. I'm sorry. Boy, that was a slip up, wasn't it? My bad.
There's a couple groups out at LCI that donated money, and they wanted it to go to Safety Town. They did it last year to help get their advertisement on the back of the T-shirts.
Okay.
So they've asked to donate $500, and I've asked the board to accept that.
Do I have a motion accepting 4839?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Monthly report.
We had some tragic events that I really can't talk about too well yet, but our hearts go out to those people that are suffering with some issues, with some traffic-related issues, and some domestic issues. So other than that, I'd be happy to answer anything else.
Rough month. I know the guys had one, so keep it up, and we will keep supporting you. Fire District, AC Eggenbrode. All we have tonight is the monthly report from you. Anything of note you'd like to point out?
Just here to answer any questions if you have.
You have any? I do not. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just one more item. At the April 25th meeting, we accepted Captain Lampman's resignation, pending August 1st being the latest date. We just found out he had some logistical issues to work out, which he's gotten worked out, so his last shift with us is actually going to be July 1st.
Okay.
And he'll be leaving, and he's got everything worked out, so we want to wish him and his family the best. And he informed me that he will be keeping his Cincinnati Bengals season tickets, and he'll be back a few times a year.
He told me the same thing. I found that interesting, but as long as he doesn't become a Bears fan, that's fine.
He assured me he will not.
Okay. We appreciate that. Okay, zoning department. Are we still on pace with all of these, sir?
Yes, sir. At this point in time, all of those need your approval. We're looking at resolution 4844 is the only repeat for 2016. All else are new.
Okay, so we can discuss them as a group and approve them individually. 4840 through 4847, are all nuisance, resolutions, which for those that don't join us very often, basically means that people let their places go, whether they own it or the bank does, and we ultimately have to assess them and clean them up. So, with that being said, we will go through this as quickly as possible, and it's, because it's just the two of us, it's probably gonna flow a little easier. I need a motion to approve 4840.
Is it my turn? So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
See, y'all messed
Then
up
I
that
did it right out of the gate, there you go.
You jinxed it.
I jinxed it, did I? Motion to approve 4841.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Motion to approve 4842.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Motion to approve 4843.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Motion to approve 4844.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Motion to approve 4845.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Motion to approve 4846.
So moved.
Second.
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard? That's
Yay.
great.
Motion to approve 4847.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. And we have a recommendation to approve Linda Oda for the Hunter Red Lion Steering Committee. My understanding is that you would like to participate in that as well.
You know, it's interesting, I was at the Farm Bureau annual policy dinner, breakfast a week or so ago, and, in my role as county recorder, and they asked me to be on this. So I was surprised then that they felt the need, I don't know if it's, I don't know, I'm happy to do whatever you guys want me to do. They asked me to
Are
sit
you,
on it.
are you interested in doing it?
Yes, I'm happy to serve. I didn't know that I would be representing the town, I thought I was representing the county. But in whatever role, as a township resident, I'm happy to serve. So I was surprised that it showed up on the agenda.
Okay, so look, to clarify, the people that are on it from here now are myself, Jeff, and Jack.
Okay,
Is there anyone else?
That's all from Clearcreek Township staff government.
Staff government.
and I think they just wanted the boards to acknowledge so that they knew who from the township residents wise was on this. Because I immediately called Daniel today and I said, I'm not representing Clearcreek Township on this. He goes, no, he goes, just as a Clearcreek Township resident. So I just felt like I should say I wasn't trying to represent the township at this.
Then do we need to approve her as representing us if she's just being a township resident on this board?
Daniel seemed to think that was.
He
something
sent me
wanted.
an email saying, you need to bless her on the steering committee.
Okay, we didn't bless the other residents, did we?
We didn't bless them formally at this action.
Okay.
I put out requests multiple times with individuals from the Red Lion area, and you guys approved to have issues or not with these individuals serving as steering committee and being
Okay.
individuals that would be part of just regular focus groups. So that's how we went through. It was just one of those things, I was out, I saw it on the agenda, so I assumed because it was an elected official, we were going a little bit more formal. But ultimately, if you want to be part of it and trustees are approving, we'll put you part of it. More the merrier.
I'm perfectly fine with it. Do we need a formal vote on it, or is it just a matter of, we've got other residents that are on it?
Correct. Again, we have other residents from the area that we're talking with and like, that are part of the process. So
Legal
the
counsel?
only reason it would be formal is if it's elected and that's why you guys decided it needed to be formalized. Not direction from the trustees that that's appropriate, it's cool.
I think it's the pleasure of the board. I think if the organization feels better that it came from the board through a formal motion. That's really just kind of making that board feel better.
Well, let's have a formal motion then, shall we? We want to make sure they feel better about it. Do we have a motion to approve the recommendation to approve Linda Oda for the Hunter Red Lion Steering Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Gosh, if you'd have voted no, then I would have been off. A clear majority.
You have a chance.
I was gonna say, I gave you the opportunity to say you didn't want to do it.
Meeting went.
I didn't know the meeting was gonna be at 7 o'clock.
They are nighttime
Yeah.
meetings, yeah.
Well, I'm okay with nighttime, but 7 starts cutting into my baseball time. Monthly report,
I can answer any questions in the monthly, sir.
we're down a little bit, looks like.
Yeah. Based upon what has already come in June, I think we're gaining ground.
Gaining ground on that number. Have you, just out of curiosity real quick before we move on, have you gotten any feedback from our stance on the pool situation?
I have residents who are excited that they don't have to put up fencing, but
But they know
that's
that
been the only,
Okay,
discussion at this point in time is, I heard from their sales rep that I don't have to have that if I have on a pool cover, is that real? So the companies are out there promoting it. So
the
we'll see how
automated
they-
pool cover,
Yeah.
okay, good. Well,
At this point in time, we've not had enough installed for inspection and verification, so
there you
another
go,
couple weeks, I'm sure we'll be in that.
right in the middle of it. Okay. Anything else?
Nothing
Jeffrey?
until we come back.
Until we come back to it.
Yes.
Road Department, Scott?
I don't have anything for the meeting, monthly report, we're just knocking out the ditches, we haven't been at full force since April. So, we're, doing what we can, knocking out everything that comes up and cranking away the ditches, I think we've done 13 already, so,
Okay.
staying busy.
Well, sure.
Backhoe's doing better than the old one, right?
But yeah, a lot better, the new pilot controls are a lot better too, just took some time to get used to them.
At the Farm Bureau breakfast I was at, they actually mentioned Clearcreek because apparently, and I know just enough to be dangerous, hemlock is a really bad thing that grows in ditches. And the guy from the extension office said that the county and the townships, for the majority, do a horrible job at getting out and getting in early before it spreads, but that we were one of the few townships that was on top of it. So congratulations.
Thanks. We spray at least twice a year. We've got some, everyone now has their roadside spraying license, so, except me, but everyone else
They
has.
keep it
so.
that way, right? Yeah, apparently it's getting into farmers' fields and stuff and just really being detrimental to crops.
Real quick, kudos to both of your departments. I brought attention to an item being in this proximity to my house, and one of our residents reached out to me, who lives right across the street from Diane Sycamore Reserve. Just as soon as school let out, we had a lot of younger people parking in the park and walking up Springboro Road, which, as you know, in that area can be very dangerous. And it turns out, which I didn't realize was still there, there's a rope swing that is very near the gas line where it crosses Clearcreek. Well, that used to be a swimming hole that was about 10 feet deep, and it turned into a very popular hangout. And then we had, what was the number at one point, Chief? 22 cars parked in that small space? Yeah.
Yeah, for several days in a row.
Yeah, so, we took care of the problem, the rope swing's gone, and,
Surely 22 people weren't going there to swing on a rope.
well, there were other things happening
Well, that's what
apparently,
I-
so
yeah.
I think it was a good
All the
thing
coolers.
all the way around,
Yeah.
that they cleaned it up, and I talked to Wally about where it was in proximity to where the park is, and just, there was an opportunity for a lot of bad things to happen, so, good job, both of you,
Kudos to the kids too. I went down there and grabbed about 25 of them coming out of the woods and tried to explain to them, we don't want to interrupt their fun, we know school's out.
Right.
And we'd love to have a spot for them, but they just couldn't do it on private property. And I need to spread the word amongst all the others that have been going here, and apparently that worked. So,
Wow.
good for the kids, took some responsibility too and helped solve the issue before somebody gets hurt or somebody gets done, something stupid's out there, so.
Yeah, my biggest concern was I'd come up the road and there'd be 8 of them walking on what would be the westbound side of Springboro Road after the turn, and you can't, there's
No
blind
berm
spots
there,
everywhere,
yeah.
and there's no berm, it's guardrail. So, anyway, just wanted to throw that in. That being said, do you have anything else, Scott?
No, sir.
Okay, we are back to the.
I had something for the road department.
Yes, go right ahead.
Just, you had sent, a picture of a transverse crack in the road, and Scott and I were,
And Sycamore Trails, as a matter of fact.
yeah, we were talking about those, and it's something they deal with constantly. Right now, their process is they'll kind of cut and then mill it out, and then put it back in. It's a neater application, but it's time intense. And Scott has seen where other departments will do a faster fill it, don't cut it and mill it so much. So he's investigating some other options because we have these all over the place, some are, they're varying, you know, you might have a little bump and then some places are bigger, and, he's looking at ways to get these done, faster, so we can cover more ground. I was curious how long some of the applications lasted. So are we gonna be doing this every 2 years versus every 5 years or 6 years? So we're looking at what some options are to get those filled quicker and faster and still be effective to get rid of the bump.
With the hot box and the way we do it now, which is probably the best way, it takes us 2 days to do 5 cracks.
Wow.
And, you know, there's Durapatch and there's some other options out there. The county has offered us to use their machine for a day to see if we like the process and the end result, how many we can get in a day versus what we have. The calls are just, we can't keep up, it's impossible. And they're gonna come back, no matter what we do, they'll come back. There's no fix for them, even if you mill the whole road and pave the whole road, they're coming back. It's just a matter of, we need to determine, do we want quality versus quantity, or where we need to go on the process.
Keep us updated, see what you find out from the county, and what do you think of that process, and if there's any cooperative opportunity with them.
Well, there's a 1-day chance to use the machine.
That's the
Because
cooperative
they're
part?
busy with it
Okay.
too. So it'd
Okay.
be to rent one or purchase one, and they're fairly expensive.
Okay. Is that something we would contract ever? I mean, I know there's a gentleman that does a new process that does work with a lot of the local restaurants, or a lot of the fast food restaurants that, does work like that. This is some sort of revolutionary idea that apparently doesn't take very long at all, but those are parking lots versus streets, I know there's a difference, but.
Well, we get the freeze thaw,
Right.
and, we've tried the filler with the crack machine, because it goes in, it's a rubber material, it'll flex and bend and flex and bend, and then it just eventually sink.
Right.
I mean, we've dug them all the way through the entire roadway, took out 4 feet of base, reapplied base, and patched it that way, and they've come back over, in 5 years, we've had one come back, so they're gonna come back. It's just the soil here.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Anything else before we move on to the public hearing? We have given Mr. Music ample time to arrive, I would think. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other whether we move forward or table it to the 27th meeting, other than the fact that we've got people that have to come.
I think if we table it, I would like to go ahead and let the people have their say, so they wouldn't have to come again. That way, we'll be able to have their input, their perspective, and then get one more ahead in the decision of talking this over.
If that's the process, just open up the public hearing and have them state their case, so to speak, and then we'll table it.
Continue in progress
Okay.
until the 27th.
Yep.
All right, so I need a motion to leave the public meeting and open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yeah.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. So at this point, what the plan would be is for you to give feedback. I think we've both gotten packets on this. We've seen the information that Mr. Palmer has, so, do you wanna start and then have them? I mean, that would basically be the whole process except him discussing it.
Yeah, do you want to put that on
Let's
record?
go ahead, I'd say let's do that.
Okay, I'll give you a quick overview. For some people, it'll be a second or third time here, so my
Quick
apologies.
review.
Ultimately, what we have this evening is a piece of property that comprise a total of 10 acres. Request is for property address of 331 East Title 5 Point Road, parcel number 05-32126-0021, and parcel 05-32-126-0022. So currently zoning classification, where we're looking at is an SR1 classification. It gives a 2 unit to the acre maximum if you have sanitary connection. If without sanitary connection, your acre minimum lot size of the health department may increase that in size. The request is go to an R1A classification, which is 3 units to the acre. So the densities go from, if sanitary sewer is obtained to the site, maximum of 2 to a maximum of 3. This one before Warren County Regional Planning Commission. They looked at it, there was debate over the location of the Richards Run sewer agreement area, which has since been clarified. Ultimately, we look at the land use plan, this parcel is split by a green and a yellow, which, or whatever color we can call this thing. I can't ever get the color out. It's a mauve, tan, whatever.
Custard.
Custard is even better.
You can use it.
Color. I've never used custard enough. Color, which is split. Clarification from City of Springboro, who is the entity providing sanitary sewer, is that they would provide up to whatever the township would agree. There were additional fees tacked on when you go above 2 units to the acre for service to that area. When Warren County Regional Planning looked at it, staff recommended it be denied. The executive committee recommended approval. This went before the zoning commission, had multiple zoning hearings on that, continuations, ultimately trying to figure out sanitary sewer issues before it came to this body. There was a petition that was put forth at the last zoning commission hearing on May the 2nd, in which all property owners that are to be contiguous to the west, the south, and to the east signed a petition stating they did not want to have an easement go across their property for sanitary connection to the subdivision. At this point in time, Line 5 Points doesn't actually have a trunk that goes parallel with the road. It's coming from various subdivisions. The closest point to this parcel, of course, is to the south. To the north, we have Station 22. We're actually obtaining sanitary sewer north from the Summit Point subdivision. So some things are coming together. Ultimately, the zoning commission recommended denial of the request and has put it before you this evening. Since that time, we did receive 2 emails. They're in your packet. Received them today. One dated June the 9th, the other dated June the 12th, from residents who signed the petition stating that just because they're not present didn't mean that they were not still in opposition to the request. As stated at the beginning of the public hearing, Mr. Music was aware of this public hearing. He was aware of previous public hearings and chose not to attend those. So I'm not exactly sure where he stands on the issue, but he's not, at this point in time, requested to withdraw his request. I can answer questions from the brief presentation.
The Sycamore Trails subdivision is currently half acre. So it was developed that way, correct?
Correct. It's in an R1 zoning classification. It has a half-acre minimum lot size.
With sanitary.
It, in essence, wraps the property. If you look at the cover page.
Right.
It is in white. Across the street is in white. We do have a hatched yellow, which is an SR1, same zoning classification. The yellow, the orange are more intense classifications, but there is no contiguous property that is greater intensity than 2 units to the acre.
Okay.
Mr. Palmer, I have a question. It seems to me that the township signed some kind of agreement with the city of Springboro, this is a long time ago, my memory's horrible, that allowed sewer to go to, and water to go to 5 Points Elementary School? Is that not accurate? So there's not?
It's there. It's across the road.
It is. It was.
So it's easier to go through yards than it is to go under the road for a tap in?
Well, the way in which, that's the best way to explain this.
I'm sorry, my knowledge
No,
of
yeah,
this is
that's fairly accurate.
If you had Sim City, you would start off with, you create your city. Ultimately, this sewer is developer driven. So wherever something was developed first, that's where sanitary sewer went, and then there's a connection system back to get to where ultimately you're doing some infill. Sycamore Trails, as the original PUD, had a package treatment plant that was maintained. When the section that is adjacent to the request came through, that flowed to the package treatment plant, and I believe then flows north into the Richard Front Sewer Agreement area. So the area that's defined in this custard has the potential under our land use plan to have sanitary sewer. It doesn't mean it's currently at the location of every parcel today. So the development occurred around this property, but didn't occur in front of this property along the frontage. Therefore, services were not in a standardized process of just running up the road and trunk lines coming off. It's not atypical for development in Clearcreek Township because, again, we as the government are not dictating where those lines are. It's individuals attempting to connect to systems.
But there is a sewer line right in front of the property we're talking about. It's just on the other side of the road.
I don't know exactly where that line is. I don't believe it is parallel to the road. I think that individuals are feeding,
I'm talking about that goes to 5 Points Elementary School.
I don't know the exact location of that.
I'm not sure that that's, either way, it's, yeah, whatever there is on that side is not next to the road on that side, it's further away. So, yeah. But I think the county was involved in that as well, as I recall.
Yeah, city and the county had to expand out processes for that. But ultimately, the discussion was where would gravity flows to Sycamore Trails
Right.
subdivision, and individuals that are the current contiguous property owners are requesting it not go through their property, therefore in opposition to the request.
So, at the same time, in order for it to flow against gravity, there would have to be
A pump
a
station.
pump station put in, which would there again.
Those additional costs,
Yeah.
not unachievable, but those are things that, as a developer, you look for.
The
How
least
do you want to
expensive.
develop?
Right,
develop
and
out?
you're talking about 10 acres, you're not talking about 50, so, you know, at the most 30 houses, based on what he's requesting at the least with sanitary 20,
Yeah, as gross numbers.
that's gross numbers. Okay.
Thank you.
At this point, we would open it up to discussion by residents, if you would like to come up and say anything. Come to the microphone, state your name and your address, and
Hi, I'm Clint Carter, 8836 Carly Court, property contiguous to the south. So we've attended all these meetings, just in general. None of the residents that I'm aware of were in favor of it. The sewer is a related issue, but not the only issue. We would not want it to be rezoned higher density, even if he had sewer. I mean, you could have sewer and still be, you know, existing zoning 2 per acre. We like the privacy, we like the feel. I have a 1 acre property, there are 1 acre properties around, and so it just seems really out of place to put that high level, you know, high density level in there. We came, when there was a Barrington Way, when that street was going in, there was a similar resolution. I don't know how similar it really is, but I remember it was higher density, and we came, we didn't, you know, we weren't in favor of that, and we, you know, stuck to the process, and that rezoning was denied also. So going through this, you know, the resident sentiment has been against it, you know, primarily for privacy. Drainage is also an issue with some of the other residents, not so much with us personally. And so, along with Mr. Music not showing up at the meetings, you know, we're here to be diligent. We want to make sure that it doesn't get forgotten, get through just because we lost interest in the process. So, you know, we're here to make sure that this gets closed out in accordance with what we think the general will of the residents is. So, that's all.
okay, thank you. Do you have any questions or anything from Mr. Palmer or any of the residents? Okay. I have a pretty good understanding of it as well, so, at this point, we'll table it and.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gabbard, continue it.
Continue it, not table it, for the June 27th meeting, and at that point, if he is here or not, we will rule on it and move forward. We would offer the same to any one of you as well, so in case there's been something that's happened, because we do know that we did notify him of that, but based on what Mr. Palmer's telling me and what we may know is, doesn't really matter what your density is if you can't get the sanitary to start with, so it's kind of a cart and a horse thing, I guess. So we continue it, but we still have to come out of public hearing.
So what I would do is, motion to continue the hearing till the 27th.
I need a motion to continue the hearing until June 27th.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Now you're perfect, as always.
And in my defense, I've been sitting up here for 5 years and we've never done that, so this is new ground for me
Fair
too.
enough.
So, at that point now we are at staff updates. Mr. Cameron.
I don't have a whole lot. The one thing I will update you on, the house on State Route 741, 4442 State Route 741. I know Assistant Chief Agambrode met with the health department out there. The building department has been to the site. And we got a letter at the end of last week with the health department issuing orders to have the issues abated. As we know, the issues won't be abated because of the state of the owner, and that will condemn the property, which will take it to sheriff's sale because they're delinquent 2 years on taxes, which will ultimately either somebody will buy it in its current state, or it will come to the township. And I'm looking at Brian, do we have an option of taking it or not taking it? Okay,
Yes.
so we will have a decision point potentially if nobody buys that at a sheriff's sale. That'll probably be, how long does a sheriff's sale last?
Well, you're talking, it could be 90 to 120 days from the
So-
time it's filed.
Sounds like the end of the year, maybe beginning of the year, we
That
might
seems
have
ambitious.
some more sometime in the future.
Yes.
We will. Yeah. So, but the decision would be, do we want to accept the property, and then we have to abate it, which is tear it down and get rid of the septic system. So
The other problem too, Mr. Cameron, is there's been a fight in the law about whether or not, because it used to be, you could take tax forfeited properties and that would wipe all the liens. There's been recent fighting back and forth about whether or not those liens go away or not. So you might also be subject to paying the liens as well, which makes no sense, but sometimes the law is, well, there's a word that somebody used, which I won't use in this meeting, but the law can sometimes come up with results that aren't necessarily the most helpful to addressing this kind of property. But that might be another issue the township has to consider too, is whether or not if it takes it. Because it used to be you could take it basically for $1.
So if we don't take it, what happens to it?
Well, it will sit there until somebody buys it.
Is there a hazard though with the condition?
Yeah, I mean, it comes to a point that if it is a nuisance or a significant enough condition, it can be taken down and addressed like any other property could be.
And that's all.
Even, no matter whoever owns it, right?
It's a
could be-
nuisance now already.
Well, fair enough, but you need somebody to, you need either fire department or you need the building department to say that.
I thought we had a,
Didn't they
somebody
condemn
said
it?
it
Sorry,
said it
Al.
was condemned.
the health department has issued abatement orders,
Okay,
which will follow with the condemnation because they're not abated.
right.
Because they're delinquent on their taxes, it's going to go to sheriff's sale.
Correct.
Through the county auditor.
So these two
Process.
things are running parallel to one another.
But the demolition and cleanup is going to probably exceed the value of that lot.
And
I don't know what,
especially if you compound it with how many taxes are in it, right?
yeah, like I said,
Good.
this is an
Good
FYI,
job
this
for our
is,
intern.
this is,
Gonna clean it up.
well, she's the one who discovered things, so. I think
Yeah, I didn't,
follow
she was, I don't know if
through
you
with
knew that, but she was in a ride-along with Officer Name when this all
Yeah.
happened.
it.
That's the deep end of the pool, my dear.
Yes.
Yeah,
Goodness.
so I just, kind of an FYI, I don't know enough, we're to a decision point sometime in the future, apparently.
So
But
this
is
goes out
moving
another
forward.
120 days before we discuss what the options are. It's gonna be more of a nuisance by then. It's gonna have a whole year to,
Well-
or part of a year to,
We're gonna cut the grass. We've done the
There's-
resolution to cut the
Isn't
grass,
the
so
grass
we'll
the least
maintain,
problems?
well, but it's all we can attack at the moment from our end.
Well, and to be fair to the township doesn't have the authority to demolish it if it's not a fire or a building hazard, and thus far I have not, at least that I've been made aware of, that hasn't been demonstrated. Now, if it's a health department issue, well, then that's the health department issue, the township doesn't have jurisdiction over that, and the township can't accelerate that process. So, the problem is, we're limited jurisdictionally by statute, what we can do, what we can't do with respect to demolition.
but I think what our question
Yes,
is, if
sir.
I'm on the same page with Steve,
Yes.
is even if the health department moves forward, the tab's still gonna come back to us.
Oh, it could, that's right, good point. Again, that law is just, it used to be that you just took if it was forfeited tax liens and it was a specific statutory proceeding that would go back to the political subdivision where the property is located, you could take that free and clear of all liens. That recently has been changed where it may not, I would need to go back and look to confirm, because you may be taking it subject to those liens. In other words, before you take title, you have to pay off the liens.
And there may be some grants available through the county to help pay for the demolition process
Wow.
also.
Okay,
Yeah, so there's still some more to come on that once the sheriff's sale and everything gets.
so hurry up and wait.
unfortunately. Well, because I'm telling you, having seen it happen before, nobody cares about that property until it goes down, and then all of a sudden, the 15th cousin comes in and says, that was the most important house in the history of the world to me, and I want to sue for constitutional violations for taking my house down. I mean, I'm sorry, it's the world we live in nowadays.
Okay. What other good news do you have for us?
That's all I
tonight,
had.
A ray of sunshine.
Yeah, right.
Jack?
Typical lawyer.
We'll move on to comments. Are there any comments this evening? No comments, we will move, I would like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yeah.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.